Hello and welcome to Urban Gothic Series 2, Episode 9, Dollhouse Burns, Part 2. Yeah, I thought it was crap compared to Firefly 2. This is the finale of the show unless the rumoured third series ever appears, and if it does, I'll review it, and hope they learn to keep long-running plots as far away from it as fucking possible. Recap, no, it still doesn't make any fucking sense, and we get a circus knife-throwing act without the knives. Thrilling. And quick cuts to something green. That's got to be the least lucid pre-credit sequence I've seen all episode. After the intro, the first thing we see is a small girl and a dog. I'm going to be cheeky and assume that the dog is the werewolf from Series 1, who we last saw having turned into a dog for some reason that I'm sure they thought of but were too embarrassed to explain. But why is he with the girl? Oh, so we can be bricked to death. Fantastic. And I'll forgive the zombie children because we have Leon Trotsky back again. Fantastic! The most recurring-y of the show's recurring characters. And also the best. Unfortunately, he never managed to appear in any good episodes. You'd think that'd be statistically unlikely, but... oh well. He spots Sean Maguire's replacement as Gay Spike. Blah, 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 blah. We are friends now, even though last time we met, one of us watched the other get beheaded by the writer of Rocky Horror and then seemingly killed by a gang of evil, scummy monks. Blah, 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 blah. You know, I'd be okay with this because a lot can change in a year, wounds can heal, but I really wish Leon Trotsky would stop acting like he's in love with Gay Spike. I'm being distracted by trying to work out what exactly they did off screen. So, the Heart, the mystical evil force thing in London that possessed Gay Spike's girlfriend in 13, has a herald that indicates serious trouble is on its way. A female, white, ghost thing. Which is great, because London is meant to be the most haunted city in the world, and I don't know how many ghost stories you've ever heard of, but female, white, ghosty things are almost as high up as guys in fucking hoods, or little blowy things in photos that turn out to be dust in the list of shit that people see and think are ghosts. If you're an evil mystical shitstorm in a city, why can't you have a herald that won't get lost in an army of other things that look pretty fucking similar? Ghosts exist in this universe, we've already seen them. Surely if you have a herald, you want them to be noticed and not of the mystical equivalent of a Where's Wally book. And yeah, I said Where's Wally because that's what it's called in the UK. So, the Institute is trying to control the herald, for some reason. This will allow them to control the Heart, the mystical evil of London, for some reason. And to do this they need three things.
Blood willingly given, from a body full of rage marked with the number of the new revolution. The second is the essence of a mind filled with the fire of God.
You know what I love? Fucking exposition! So, having given us a semblance of an explanation of what the fuck happened to Loki, the autistic guy in Membrane, I say explanation. I'm being nice. They then immediately go right back to making it as confusing as they can by mentioning something called the White Queen. As though it's really fucking important.
Behold the White Queen!
He said, behold, the White Queen! Whatever the fuck that is. Okay, it's the Herald Woman. But it's not my fault they keep changing what the fuck she is and what she's called every 3 fucking minutes. Anyway, after a very short talk with the Demon Headmaster, the Annie Lennox impersonator suddenly becomes convinced that he's sinister. I'd be impressed because she's only recently met him on screen, but she's been working with him off-screen for years. His sinisterness is not fucking subtle. Just look at him. Even if he wasn't the head of 2 completely separate evil organizations that hate each other, he'd still be fucking sinister. So she frees Collie, for some reason. Lady, you are a member of an evil organization that's been doing evil. Why do you suddenly give a shit about people? Anyway, her boss kills her because that'll look great in the annual report. I only killed 1 of my people this year. Wonderful, you're really making progress. Hopefully we'll have you down to a cat and 3 squirrels before a year or 2. So, at the same time, Gay Spike and Leon Trotsky suddenly decide that they need some wheels, and amazingly, within seconds, they find a working, unlocked taxi in the middle of some waste ground. I see becoming a storyteller means you gain access to reality's cheat codes. Oh, and in case anyone wonders why when I see a zombie acting as a chauffeur to a twat with supernatural powers and I don't make a prophecy reference, hey look, there's a zombie driving a twat with supernatural powers around. This reminds me of the prophecy. Gayspike and Leon Trotsky arrive where Callie's escaping from as she gets out the door. Amazing timing. Almost as though someone told them when to be there. And by someone I mean the writer, because there's no other fucking way that's gonna happen.
You've got a zombie driving for you?
Well, I have no respect for human life. It makes it much more fun.
Why the fuck couldn't this guy have been in a good episode? He's great! Admittedly, this one's better than Dead Meter 13, but that's not a compliment. They were fucking god-awful. This is merely shit. Okay, I get that that's the voice of God guy from Membrane, but how does spinning him around like that aid you in whatever the fuck it is you're doing to him? So, more exposition. They're trying to resurrect the Herald, White, Ghost, Queen person thing in a lab so they can control whatever bad thing is going to happen that she's heralding when she appears, because they want to stop them. Instead of just stopping the bad thing ever appearing. Geniuses! Anyway, even though 5 minutes ago they stated that they needed Loki from Membrane, Kali from Serotonin Wild, and some other thing that's so mysterious that they don't even know what it is, it turns out they don't actually need Kali at all. Because. I
mean, as long as they don't have me, they can't bring her back.
In theory. But the heart is strong now.
Everyone heads off to the disused power station, a place that the bad guys run, and I guess he's pretty sure in the notion that they don't actually need her after all, because you're bringing her to their base. What if they do need her? Dumbass. And why did they go to the bother of doing all that crap in Serotonin Wild, which still haunts the logical parts of my brain, if she's not fucking needed? I mean, it's expensive to hire Anthony Daniels to talk to teens get killed and have some guy turned into a clown zombie. Oh, and right underneath the power plant, which is run by the guy who is battling the evil heart of London, is an entrance to the sewers, which is the base of operations for the army of evil monks, who are the foot soldiers for the evil heart of London. So isn't this a little bit like the Manhattan Project having a laboratory 2 floors above the Emperor of Japan's swimming pool? So no one manages to capture Kali at the power plant, therefore showing the crapness of the villains. It doesn't exactly matter because they have a clone of Kali attached to a spinny thing. And why do the people have to be naked on the spinny things? I don't really care, except I need to add censorship boxes, and it's reminding me of Gwendolyn. If you must remind me of that film and force me to censor stuff, couldn't you just have Kali pull a chariot naked? So the demon headmaster cuts the clone of Kali up while she's on the spinny thing. Unfortunately not while she's spinning, because a Catherine wheel of blood might have improved this fucking thing. And this means the real Kali is bleeding too. I don't think anyone told them how cloning works. And going by their own show's internal logic, I think this means that the one they have isn't the original Kali, because the original guy from Membrane's damage transferred to his clones last episode. Whatever, her suddenly spouting knife wounds is fucking hilarious to Leon Trotsky. Someone, anyone, please, give this guy his own TV show. Leon Trotsky, the antisocial zombie, wanders around, be sarcastic, laughs at other people's misfortune, and licks men's face before going online and typing, "You mad, bro," at everyone it comes across. It'd be amazing. So they're using Kali's blood and the other guy's vomit, I think. Maybe that's why we're spinning around. And they're mixing it in a goblet to create the White Queen woman under laboratory conditions so they can control her. When she already exists. She was last seen at the end of Series 1 leading an army of monks, and I don't care what the Imperium of Man says, a laboratory is not allowed to look like the basement of a church. So, talk. We have a bad guy with an army of guys at his disposal that he could be using to kill Gayspike, and a good guy who could just rip off the bad guy's head a la Richard O'Brien to Leon Trotsky last series, but they'd rather just talk. They have minutes left, and rather than doing something, they'd rather just say stuff. If I understood what the fuck was going on this series, I'd probably consider this an anticlimax. Anyway, Kali comes in and gets stabbed, because why not? And revealed that the one being cut was a clone. Okay. So why did the bullets fired into the face of the clone last episode not affect the original? Fuck, they barely affected the fucking clone! Kali dies, and I think she saved the day or something, because blood and shit. And Gayspike's upset because he loved her suddenly for no reason. And finally this happens. I am as confused as any of you watching this, and I suspect I'm as confused as everyone who's involved in making this. So they all leave, and Gayspike comes to a horrifying conclusion, that he's the third part. And somehow, through kissing and being headbutted by Gayspike, the demon headmaster got his blood. which turns him into a special effect, and then into this woman. Dude, there are easier ways to gain access to a vagina. And I think that's supposed to be the same woman from episode 13 last series, but it's really not. Okay, that's nice, but it's no... So, was the villain turned into Gay Spike's girlfriend? Did he merge with her? Was this whole thing a plot so we could fuck Gay Spike in a future episode that was never made? If so, joke's on him. He's called Gay Spike for a reason. That's the fucking end. No more urban gothic. And I'm not even sure if that's a cliffhanger. This episode is pretty much the same celluloid shithead that part 1 was. But it's still not the absolute worst of the show. I still think that's dead meat, though like a frog in water being slowly brought to boil, maybe the episodes have been getting worse and I've not noticed. I'd investigate, but that means rewatching dead meat, and fuck that. If you want to see the best of this show, then stick to Vampirology, Pineapple Chunks, The Boys Club, and Necromance. Add in B-Movie and The End to the list if you feel like it. If you want the plot episodes, check out Dead Meat, 13, Membrane, Serotonin Wild, and both parts of Dollhouse Burns. And then shoot yourself in the head to improve the species. This show could have been great, or at least okay, but it grabbed the worst elements of itself and decided to let it take over the rest of the show. It's like they chose the best thing that they could do to make the show a classic, and then reversed it on a dare and ran with it. The show is not that expensive on DVD. If you even consider it, I'd strongly suggest checking it out. Even at its worst, it's at least interesting, if not intelligible. And when it's good, it's fucking amazing.